Hey darlings, thought I'd do one more real quick video on prepping lifestyle, prepping on the cheap, before I kind of get cranking with doing some artwork here. My husband and I have always had to pretty much prep on the cheap. 2008 he lost his business. He was a builder developer. We got down to about 6 cans of food in the house. We lost our condo. We lost our newer vehicles. We lost everything. And we went back to the way we were raised, which was by parents my parents were homesteaders, come from a long line of farmers. His family, his parents were Depression survivors, and so they had always had 2 years worth of food here. And so we got back to that. We moved back into the house he was raised up in that he had inherited when his parents passed away. So we were blessed to have a paid-for little home, and we began to prep, to prepare quite intensively. We made the decision that we would never again have debt, that we would embrace simplicity, that we would just work really hard and prep and prepare and have 2 years worth of food on hand. And so that's been our goal, to prepare. We were caught with our pants down when the economy crashed. Like so many others, he was kind of in that real estate bubble in the DC area, and they never saw an end to all that money making. He bet everything, his whole life savings, his home, everything on, this is before we got together, on being able to retire from a development that he was getting ready to put together of some of those DC McMansions. He could have retired on that. But we know that the real estate market bubble crashed and he lost his business. All of that had come together before he and I had got together. We were married when the crash happened, but that development project started before we got together, because I would never have encouraged my husband to tie up everything he had on a gamble like that. But you know, he had every reason to believe it would be okay, and so was caught in that economic bubble, as so many builder developers were. That so many really good, hard-working people lost their shirt, yeah, and are just kind of rebuilding. And so that's just an introduction to why we got into prepping. Now I want to talk to you about how we do it. How we do it pretty much on the cheap, week by week, day by day. Some of the things that I do to do it, you know, to do it really inexpensively. I've many times talked about finding a produce stand and letting them get to know you. You get to know them, and start buying clearance, you know, like the the foods that maybe have a spot on them that are great though for dehydrating or canning. My son used to work at a grocery store in the produce department. Every now and then I'd ask him, you know, this is before I was even a prepper. This was just when I was a homeschool mama years back. I'd say, you know, like, how much, you know, will you sell me the whole box full of things, you know? And they give me a big box full of food for $4, but that's not, that was with the understanding, I think, that it was going to be for pig feed or something like that. But it was really, really full of apples. It was great. I canned so many apples that year. But you can find resources like that, you know, for things that are discounted. I make a little bit of a round almost weekly, sometimes more than that, where I go to my produce stand, and then I go to a grocery store that discounts meats, and you're able to get some bulk meat, and they also have a good sale on at least 1 or 2 different kinds of meats each week. So I get, you know, I get what's on sale, and I get it, you know, as much as I can afford to. I think I have about a $20 budget for meat, so I usually try to get as much as I can, so that and then we package it up in little serving sizes for 2 people, and you know, we have multiple amounts in the freezer. I do use my freezer to prep quite a lot, but I will be doing more and more canning as my energy level goes up. I've just been getting over Lyme's disease. So this year there's a lot of prepping being done in the freezer, more than normal. But I feel like I could, should SHTF, you know, happen, I could still preserve what's in my freezer. It's not going to go away in a day, right? This is one thing I don't get. Sometimes people will lose items out of their freezer when the power goes out and it's in the dead of the winter. Why in the heck don't they put it in a cooler and put it out in there? Pop the top off that cooler a little bit and just have it out in your car. It's going to stay frozen and cold. You only, like this part of the country, 5 months out of the year you have cold weather. I do not understand that, why people lose things during the cold weather. Sometimes we're so dependent on these electronic gadgets, aren't we? But also what's in the freezer, we can begin to dehydrate in an off-grid way. That is by taking your screens, putting the foods out on a thin layer, and then putting it out in the car. Or we can do it upstairs in our hot attic. We can dry things in no time that way. So I'll do a lot of dehydrating, and also I've got a little fire pit out back. I'll throw my canner on there and I will can if I need to. Yeah, most of the time power's only going to stay off a day or two. But if we really went through solar flares or some sort of, heaven forbid, war or whatever, and the power is off for an extended period of time, or some sort of weather condition that the power's off for a period of time, we are in a pretty good position here to cook outside. We've got a nice little fire pit area out there. We've got wood. We've got woods. I've got my canners. I got my jars. I got things in the freezer that I can do that. So I do use my freezer quite a bit, to prep with. So I take my run around with, I go to the produce stand, then I go to that grocery store and I buy the meats that are on sale there. And then I have another, in my little loop is one of the best bakeries on the planet, Oakmont Bakery. They discount breads, things that are close to the date. And so we get bagels, we get bread, we get cinnamon rolls, we get all kinds of just wonderful, wonderful things that we stick in the freezer for a little bit of just if, during difficult times, we've got things put back. We found that we used a lot of our preps during times when we ran out of unemployment. He ran out of unemployment. And we were making it on my little income and our preps, so thank goodness. So thank goodness for those preps. And then I have a couple of other grocery stores. We happen to live right outside the city limits of Pittsburgh, so we're not far from a lot of good things. So I go to, one grocery store. I check out their meats that are on sale. We use organic dairy and eggs and as much organic meat as we can afford. One of the things we've done too, we have a Trader Joe's just up the road, so they have promised that their name brand products are not genetically modified. They don't have any GM stuff in it. So that's where we get what little snacks that we eat. We've also really stopped eating foods from boxes. Now I have things like scalloped potatoes, cake mix, things like that are in boxes. Some hamburger helper that I got, chicken helper, things like that, tuna helper, that are preps. Those are good for a couple years and they're put back. But you know what? We really don't eat them. We don't eat that way anymore. We cook. We cook from scratch around here. That's not to say I spend all my time in the kitchen, because I don't, even though I do enjoy cooking. We do it for health, for being less expensive, for not getting just all that genetically modified corn syrup in processed foods. We do it so we stay away from GM foods as much as possible, and just for our health. It's just better to eat real food. And so we'll buy bags of, wild rice, bags of all kinds of different kinds of beans, and just all kinds of products. And then the produce stand, we can get all kinds of great fresh veggies at inexpensive prices. We buy things discounted and clearance as well. We're not all the way organic. We want to be, but we're not quite in that budget yet. Yeah, and so we still have to work with, you know, just doing this in a really, really frugal way. But your eggs and your dairy are important to eat organic as much as you can. Yeah, and your snacks that would involve anything with corn. So corn chips, you know, like your Doritos, that sort of stuff, has genetically modified corn in it. So you do want to go organic with that sort of thing. So we do. Well, we just eat less. We buy popcorn. We buy real popcorn at the produce stand. They have a lot of Amish things over there. So we buy bags of popcorn, and I pop it up in the 2-quart, you know, saucepan like we did when I was a kid. Doesn't take any longer than microwaving popcorn, and it tastes a bazillion times better, and you're not getting all those really awful chemicals. Whoa, if you look at what microwave popcorn is, really horrid for your health. So we just do, you know, like a $1 bag of popcorn or $2 bag of popcorn is going to last you a long, long time. So we do things like that. We buy real ingredients and real products. And for a long time I was using like instant mashed potatoes a lot and stuff like that. Well, I have that kind of thing in my preps. I do. SHTF, putting it back just, you know, to cover our family for a year or two and feed us. Yeah, we've got it. But in our day-to-day life, I make real potatoes. You know, we bake them, or we mash them, or we boil them, and I make, you know, real food. We don't use any more convenience foods. Doesn't really take much of any extra time. If you're going to be at work all day long, you can throw a bag of beans in some water in your crock pot with an onion and, you know, a little this, a little that, and make it tasty. A couple pieces of bacon, and put it on low. When you come home, it's ready, right? It does not need to take enormous amounts of time to feed yourself. So we just found that doing it that way is a lot less expensive. And it's healthier. So it's really win-win all the way around. And that way we are healthier. Of course, I did get Lyme disease, Lord, I did. But I'm getting better. My husband beat prostate cancer with his diet and eating and herbal supplements. He got his cholesterol down 50 points with apple cider vinegar and honey. You know what I'm saying? We are using food as medicine and herbs around here. You know, keeping ourselves healthy as we can. I'm also getting ready to start an exercise routine. I am going to be posting that on the YouTube channel because, you know, getting into shape is an important part of prepping as well. Being healthy, not having to be on any kind of medication. Neither one of us are on any kind of medication. He's 60 and I'm 50, almost 52. We're not on any kind of medication. He is in very good peak physical condition. I'm not, obviously. So I'm going to be working on that. I'll be dropping him off at his job in Highland Park, really close to this wonderful walking area. I'll be walking, and I'll be sharing videos with you, talking about the prepper lifestyle, talking about being a healer, talking about simplicity, good health, just living a wonderful life in the midst of a decaying system. As this system crumbles, another one will arise. I know that it will. But we are living in these epic days in that kind of transitional period of time, right? So I'll be doing my best to offer encouragement, but in a really grounded way. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. We are not living in the easiest times, and we need each other. We need to encourage each other. We need to learn from each other. That's why I'm sharing. I refuse to be in a state of fear as far as, oh gosh, you don't want anybody to know you're a prepper. Well, yeah, that's okay. You know I'm a prepper, and one thing I've got prepped is, you know, ways to protect myself, right? If you're prepping and you ain't ready to protect yourself, whoo, you're a dumbo. Well, you guys have a great day. I'm up to 15 minutes. We'll talk to you soon. I'll be talking to you from the track here pretty soon while I walk around and get my body into shape, okay? You have a beautiful day. Mwah.